Hey everyone, Chris Moreno here at Venture Atlanta 2024. We're here with innovators, investors, and founders, and got some great friends here who've traveled pretty far to be here. So I want to introduce you both. This is Jeff with Antler. We've also got Tyler with Antler out of Austin and New York. I want to hear first your founder stories. So I know you're investors, but let's hear the founder side first.
Sure. So the whole first chapter of my career before Antler, I was building e-commerce companies in Southeast Asia.
Wow.
So back in sort of the early 2010s, fashion e-commerce, which sounds really boring.
This is online, or was this
Yeah,
is online, localized? Yeah.
So the thesis behind building these companies was essentially like as emerging markets got access to the internet, there was a really predictable list of things that people would want to do, and buy clothes online was one of those things. So we ended up building first the largest fashion e-commerce company in Southeast Asia. That ended up getting rolled up into the largest fashion e-commerce company in the world, Global Fashion Group.
Yeah.
Really, what I focused on was transitioning these businesses from inventory models to marketplace models. So this was around 2013. Amazon was starting to get really big on marketplace. You started to see the first pure play marketplace businesses like ASOS, for example.
Yep.
No inventory at all. Really exciting because you lose all your money in lost inventory.
Okay.
And so if you already own the eyeballs and you can have other people take all the inventory risk, it creates a much more compelling business. That's really what I focused on, is building these marketplace fashion
And then
companies.
from that to investor, what happened there?
So while we were building Zalora, and then we ended up rolling up into Global Fashion Group, me and Magnus, who's the CEO of Antler, one of our co-founders, we've worked together for 14 years. One of the things that we saw happen over and over again is like our best colleagues that we knew were really, really good because we worked with them every day, left, ended up building, I think 6 of our colleagues ended up building unicorns as their next company. And we looked at that and we said 2 things. Number one, we knew they were really good. And so if we would have just given them a 100K check and say, hey, Jeff, you're amazing. I know you're amazing because we work together. We wouldn't have even needed to know what they were going to build. We would have built one of the most successful funds in history. And the second observation we had was their reputation inside the company didn't translate to the outside world. So despite being really strong from the people that they work side by side with, they spent like 12 months really struggling to raise capital, not having anywhere to go, right? Like not being part of a community, working out of their home office, struggling to raise capital, etc. And the combination of those 2 insights is why we founded Antler. There was an opportunity, one, to build a better value prop for founders. Antler is a place to go the day you quit your job to start your company, right? It's a community to be a part of. It's a place to go figure out what your next business is. And most importantly, it's funding at that inception stage. And then the other observation we had is like, we believe we can invest in founders before they really know what they're building if we have the opportunity to spend 4 to 6 weeks on the whiteboard with them, building, testing, validating. And that's really where the heart and soul of Antler comes from.
Essentially, there's no such thing as too early for you all.
No.
And number 2, you're betting on the person.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah. And Jeff, want to hear a little about your founder journey and how, maybe how you work together as well.
Well, actually, in e-commerce as well, I built a physical product called Earhooks. I have these big ears, right? And when you run and when you work out, earbuds are falling out all over the place. This is back in the day of those little white earbuds that Apple used to give with every phone.
Yep.
As a poor, like kind of broke kid out of college, out of Emory, actually here in Atlanta, I was thinking, I don't want to spend $300 on headphones. I want to just add a piece to my headphones that came for free in my Apple kit, basically.
Yeah.
And so I actually spent that $300. I drew this thing on a napkin. I spent $300 to source a supplier out of Shenzhen in China.
Yes.
I worked with one of my peers from college, and we basically set up a physical product that we ended up taking to 250 customers around the world. Damon John from Shark Tank was an investor. We were in Best Buy, Target, all over the place. And that was my first experience of actually, not just like having an idea and hacking together a website, but taking a company to, having funding, shipping around the world, getting revenue. It paid for my rent in New York for 10 years. At the same time, I was working at LinkedIn, and we grew that business materially. And so as I was angel investing and founding this company and working in hypergrowth, I was really trying to figure out how can I do this all at once? And the answer to that is being at Antler, like being in venture capital, helping people start companies, helping them realize the experience I had at LinkedIn. So it's just like a dream to be able to work on all of your favorite things at once.
Beautiful. And I'm curious to know, because many people may not know about Antler.
Yeah.
And I think there's multiple facets there. Number one, like you're partnering with corporations and large institutions to support these founders. But you also, correct me if I'm wrong, don't you have multiple funds?
Yeah. So Antler is the largest inception fund around the world.
Okay.
What we do here in the U.S., 20,000 founders applying, 600 actually getting in, and then 60 of those getting an investment each year.
Right.
It's highly selective through the process Tyler described. That happens in 27 cities around the world simultaneously. So we have built 1,300 companies over about 7 years. We've grown to $1 billion under management. And the way that that works is essentially teams like us on the ground in these regions around the world, sourcing the best people the moment they leave their job, working alongside them 12 hours a day for 8 weeks at a time, and then backing those people as early as possible when we get conviction that they've got the ambition, the execution, and the real drive that it takes to be an iconic founder.
So I think obviously being a pretty good sized fund, having all these different cities, do you have for the U.S. at least, and you have people around the world, do you see a lot of flywheels happen? Do you see a lot of ways that you're able to help these different founders at different stages? And what are maybe some of the insights you look for that maybe is a good fit for Antler and maybe not a good fit for Antler?
8 years ago, we started Antler. One of the things that's been very powerful is to really figure out how to build incredible products for founders, for LPs, for the rest of the ecosystem is with all the locations we have, we're learning and iterating rapidly. We get 27 iterations of this product every single year.
Wow.
And every year, all of our partners spend a week together somewhere in the world. We share learnings. We copy what's working. We don't repeat mistakes that our people made, etc. So the speed at which we've been able to get this product to a place where we feel like it's one of the best products for founders out there has been really incredible. The network effects that we see within the ecosystems. So working with great founders. Actually, when we first met up here, you were like, I met an Antler founder in New York City that had the Antler shirt on. They were
the passion,
crazy, full of energy, they were memorable, etc. We've backed almost 200 companies in the U.S. now, and so that network effect is starting to happen. People are meeting Antler founders in ecosystems all over the country, right? And they're seeing wow, the Antler quality really does mean something. These are special people. When I see someone wearing the Antler shirt, that's having an effect on our ability to continue to raise capital, which means we can give more money to our companies, and we can invest in more companies, which means we can spend more time in ecosystems like Atlanta that we really care about.
Yeah.
And that flywheel is definitely starting to spin for us.
And obviously you're in Austin, you're in New York, but I've seen you spending more time in Atlanta. Is there anything you could share about why Atlanta? What's unique about Atlanta? Is there anything you could share publicly with our audience?
Well, Atlanta is a great ecosystem. As an Emory grad myself, we have amazing Fortune 500 companies here.
Yeah.
We have incredible partners that are thinking about innovation, like Cox, as an example. We have amazing institutions like Emory and Georgia Tech, Kennesaw. As you go out further and further in the Southeast, the quality of students, the quality of enterprise professionals is outstanding. But the rate limiting step is the inception stage capital. A lot of folks in the Southeast are really focused on real estate investing. And so what that does is creates an opportunity for funds like ours to come in, find the people, work alongside them, and provide them the capital they don't have maybe in their local neighborhoods right out of the gates. There are great seed funds here. There's great Series A funds. There's great growth funds, right? But inception stage, that real friends and family money, it's a really hard thing to come by for founders. And it causes them to spend sometimes 3 or 4 years in that stage, which creates entropy in the company. And it creates a lot of failure. If instead we can come into ecosystems like this, partner up with those institutions on talent, figure out how to get people out of the great universities, get them out of the great organizations that reside here, like the Coca-Colas and the Home Depots, right? If we can get them
Invesco's, all those,
Invesco's, of course, right? Invesco's sponsoring this event. It's an amazing
Home
institution.
Depot, UPS, you name it. It's got everything covered.
That's right. If we can get them to the earliest stages and give them the capital they need to get out of first year to burn, 10 or 20K a month to figure out their product, figure out their team, really get to a place where one of the seed funds here can fund them. And we're actually a service to the ecosystem to create higher quality companies for everybody else. And so we see the talent, we see the opportunity, and we really want to help founders realize their potential.
Right. And what's the best way for founders and potential LPs to get in touch with you?
Yeah, just antler.co.
Okay.
Come click on the United States. Come apply to a program.
They can follow you on LinkedIn. Is that the best platform?
Follow us on LinkedIn.
Okay. What's your LinkedIn?
I'm Jeff Becker. It's
Becker.
Investing in founders.
Jeff writes all the good content on LinkedIn.
He does. I've seen it.
I spend more time behind the scenes.
When we come to it, we can come down to Austin and have some barbecue.
100%. I'll take you to South Switch.
Best barbecue, and what's the best food in New York?
Oh man, well you got Joe's Pizza, you got all the good stuff. But I will say something that we should touch on is that we will actually give founders $2,500 to come from their cities to ours. So if you like barbecue or you like pizza, Either one. We're going to support you.
$2,500. That's not a bad deal.
That's the one needs to
Set it
happen,
up.
right? We need to support these founders to come take part in these programs. And I think that's been a huge innovation in the strategy.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you so much
thanks
for
for
spending a few minutes with me, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Appreciate you.